Hello and welcome to another ramble. Bit cold today, and we've got the beast from the east coming in next week with the possibility of snow and temperatures down to -7. For the moment it's a balmy 5 or 6, so I've got my scarf on. Let's go and see what we can find. Now, as some of you might have seen on my blog recently, I spent the last 22 months trying to assemble this kind of natural alphabet. In other words, I set myself the task kind of to lift my observation skills of going out and looking for shapes in the natural world that mirror the letters of the alphabet. Now obviously with twisty old branches and things like that, you quite often see the letter V and the letter Y and possibly the letter S and a few others. So they weren't so much of a difficulty. The big difficulty was finding things like a B, or the one that really caused me the most aggravation, the letter R. But I did it. Took me 22 months, as I said, but I did it. And here's a flick through the alphabet to show you all the letters I found. Of course, the question now is, do I stop there? Do I now try and find the lowercase letters? Or do I do the numbers from 1 to, well, I suppose 0, really? Be an interesting challenge, wouldn't it? And as it happens, I found a 7 yesterday. However, let's see what else we can find. Now we're officially into spring now, and the pug's very happy because there's whole loads of new plants for him to wee on, including all these young daffodils, which should be opening up very shortly. And these snowdrops, and the last of crocuses over there. They're all now starting to go over, but the daffs will all be open soon. Glorious herald of spring. Oh, and look, these are the first wild primroses I've seen this year. There we go. Ah, lovely little mini daffodils, they're nice. And in the background I can hear a woodpecker rattling away. Lovely. The sun's just broken out, just for me, which is nice, isn't it? So yeah, this is my view at the moment. Big old farm field, which I'm always in two minds about, because on the one hand it's a lovely landscape, a lovely bit of countryside. On the other hand, there's the understanding that ploughing and intensive farming is really, really bad for the soil. A recent feature in one of the farming magazines by the Soil Association points out that we've probably got about 100 harvests left in a lot of farm soils, which isn't long. All right, I won't be around to see it, but a lot of people watching this and listening to this will still be here in 50 odd years, depending on how many harvests you have a year, and that's not good, is it? Still, it's a beautiful sky. It's a beautiful, beautiful sky. Harris the pug has found lots of stuff to pee on, and let's see what we can see. I think we'll start with that massive pile of poo. Oh, nice of you to join me. So I carried on walking, and I'm now at the big pile of poo. It was much bigger. I mean, if you see where that mud starts there and how far it goes down there, yeah, it was a massive, occasionally steaming and sometimes very smelly pile of poo that's been here for probably about a year and a half. It's mostly comes from chickens and pigs in local farms, and it's just piled up here, and then it's spread onto the fields when it's times to throw in some fertilizer, rather than using nitrates, which is a much better idea. Of course, if they didn't plough the fields in the first place, they wouldn't have this problem, because the big issue is, you see, that if you use heavy farm machinery, as you can see here, you compress the soil. That's the first thing. So you take out all those little air gaps created by worms and other organisms that actually allow the water to run away and seep down to the water table. If you compress the soil, you can't do that. So what happens is, when you get heavy rain, the water runs off the fields and it takes all the nitrates and the nutrients with it. I've actually put video up before of that happening, and in fact I'll put some up now to show you. There you are, see? That's all the water running off the fields. I'm just losing all that goodness. All that goodness that was in the fields is gone. The other big thing about ploughing is that if you turn the soil over, you expose worms. And I've got plenty of photographs of tractors going over the fields ploughing, and following on behind, in this area anyway, absolute flocks of red kites. Now, red kites are big birds, you know, they're birds of prey, but they're scavengers. They're not really hunters like buzzards and some other raptors are. They are scroungers. So if they can follow behind a tractor and just pick up every worm the tractor picks up, they will pick up thousands upon thousands in one day. And I'm not joking when I say I've seen a tractor going along here with maybe 70, 80, 100 red kites following. And not just red kites, there'll be blackbirds there, and there'll be magpies and any other opportunists who are going to pick those worms up, and all those other bugs that come out of the soil. With all those worms gone, there's no one burrowing under the soil to aerate it and to create all those water runaways. And it's really bad for the soil, because worms also create fertilizer. I mean, people don't realise this, but as worms go through their tunnels munching on the earth, what comes out the other end of them is 10 times more nutritious than what went in, because they leave behind loads of chemicals and nitrates and really good things for the soil. And when you've got millions of worms doing that, that's an awful lot of fertilisation that you're losing, because it's just going into the hungry bellies of birds. Well, only a short one today, because I'm going to go home and get my thermals out and prepare for next week. And who knows, you might get a nice snow video if the predictions are correct. In the meantime, bye bye.